You mentioned at the beginning that Bilgi was one of the first generation of foundation universities. We're now at a point where private profit-making universities could become a reality in Turkey. What implications do you think that will have for the higher education sector, if it comes to pass?
That's a good point. This needs a constitutional change. Well, now we have only non-profit foundation universities are allowed. But, well, there is something that I will say but I cannot prove, so I am just telling about an impression, certainly. So
I guess we would have a similar impression.
Let's take this as an impression, but I have the strong impression that some of these non-profit foundation universities are not acting as if they are non-profit institutions. So there is some kind of disguised, in some sense, for-profit approach which rules some of these. As I said, I mean, that's only an impression. So if we have for-profit universities, I think for one thing the positions will be clearer.
Right.
So it will bring that advantage, and well, probably in the perception of the public opinion, the for-profit universities will be ranked lower than the non-profit foundation universities and the public universities. Basically, it's a for-profit university for me. It's some kind of an oxymoron. I mean, I don't. I'm not very much for that idea. Well, allowing those into the system can be creating another scale in the offer of higher education. Well, one thing is that I must be realistic. Turkey has a quite high demand for higher education, which is not well satisfied. So I think it is nice to give various, I would say, scales or various brands in some sense of higher education. So in that sense, I'm not against private for-profit education, but I would be against that my university becomes a for-profit institution. And of course, the for-profit institution should be well regulated. And also, I think we really need to have certain qualification of universities, so research universities, non-research universities. So it's important to well make the distinction of those. Well, as you would have probably understood, I'm not very close to that idea, but it may be of some help to the system by offering new choices. And I think it will be very good if it can break the impression, this disguisedness impression that I do have.
Does this imply that whether or not private profit-making universities are permitted, you think that there needs to be greater transparency in the way that foundation universities are run?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we talk a bit about academic freedom in Turkey? As a liberal arts organisation and one that pioneers inclusiveness and diversity, how do you rate the freedom of academics to study what they're interested in Turkey? For example, particularly in light of the arrests of some prominent academics in the country?
Good question. First of all, well, of course, the Turkish university system, higher education system, is very highly regulated. I am not against for regulation in higher education, so I'm not that kind of a market guy where I would say, well, laissez-faire, laissez-passer, and the outcome would be good. I don't think this applies to higher education, and particularly science, which is a public good. So these are typically areas where the market theorems do fail. So I am for education. On the other hand, of course, YÖK, the Higher Educational Council, is extremely micro-managing. So what I mean by regulation is basically setting certain basic principles and ask the higher education institution operate under those principles. However, now, I mean, there is too much involvement and micromanagement made by the higher educational system. And of course, Turkey has a tradition of a very strong state. I mean, it dates back to the historical Ottoman Empire tradition, which in some sense continued during the Republic also. So the state knows better than you. So, of course, this has been an obstacle always in the democratization process of the country, but also, of course, with the ongoing democratization process, now there is a civil demand for a less intervening, less centralized state. And well, it is clear that Turkey had throughout its history problems of about free expression, expressing yourself. I mean, this doesn't apply only to academia, but it's a more broader problem that Turkey has, which certainly has reflections into academia as well. So I would agree that obviously this is a problematic area. But on the other hand, I think, the trend is an improving trend within this, regarding this area.
One of the academics at your university, Ezra Arsan, recently spoke about academics encountering difficulties with university administrations, particularly publishing papers looking at issues around Kurdish people and environmental issues. Is this something that you would agree with?
I mean, I would certainly disagree for Bilgi, but I cannot say that, oh, this never occurred in any other university. I mean, I don't know any instance, so if I say that, yes, it occurs, I should be able to give an example, but I can't say that, oh, in Turkey, this is impossible. I mean, I can't say this either, but, well, I can, of course, endorse that never such a thing happens in Bilgi, and I'm sure Esra didn't mean my.
I don't.
No. I am sure that she. I'm sure that she did not. Well, I think Bilgi, in that respect, has always been one of the most liberal environments. Well, as you would know, I mean, for example, when the Armenian conference could not be hosted by a few public universities, Bilgi took it. And in a period of time where girls could not go to universities because they had scarves, they could come to Bilgi. So this has been the standard position of Bilgi.